How everybody doing today? This is Mr. Amen, and this is a Let Them Know Media production. First off, I would like to say thank everybody for tuning in. Without further ado, the topics that I'm talking about today is it's internal and external work. A lot of times we out here and we looking at health and wealth, in a way where it's only benefiting mainly the external. We want our bodies to have the aesthetics that we wanted to have. We want our pockets to have the aesthetic that we wanted to have. We want to have that car that we want to work hard for. We want that house that we've been dreaming about since we was kids. Trust me, there's nothing wrong with none of those dreams and those aspirations and those goals, right? But let me talk about the internal work. And for me, the internal job is, if not more important, as important as the external work. We call the internal work the seer. Now, why is it called the seer? The seer is the person that's looking through those two eyes, analyzing life right now, right? When you look in the mirror, you see your reflection, but you cannot see inside of yourself. You can't see your heart beating. You can't see all of those systems that are working for you to be able to give you the vitality that you need in your life. You can't see that energy that's fueling you to wake up every day. You can't see it, right? But let's not wait too long before we can show appreciation to that. One of the biggest ways we can show appreciation to the internal work is, eating correctly. Eating an appropriate diet that nourishes the cells, your organ systems, your blood, it's good for your stomach and your digestion. Some of the key things that we need to work on, right? When I study Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine and things of that nature, we talk about, the vital organs like your heart, your lungs, your spleen, your liver, your gallbladder, your large and small intestine, your colon. All of these things are vital organs, right? These are the organs that help you stay alive. The brain is really important, but we all know that a person can be brain dead and a machine can be breathing for them, right? And you're still alive. Now, you might not have a lot of brain activity, but you're still alive, right? So, when we talk about taking care of ourselves, we're talking about the energy that's flowing through us. We also call the organ systems energy meridians. These are organs where energy is flowing through us a way to also contribute to the vitality that we have in our lives. And we need to pay respect to that. We can do a lot of cheat codes with taking supplements, and we can do a lot of these different things, right? To help cheat, to take care of ourselves, right? Or we can eat right. We can learn how to deal with the emotions that's traveling through us, right? The emotions that's traveling through us when we happy, when we sad, when we mad, when we have grief, right? When we argumentative, all of these different, energies that we, partake in on a daily basis is also flowing through an organ system a certain kind of way. And this is what leads to either vitality or the opposite of that, dis-ease. I'm a firm believer in doing supplementation and fasting and things of that nature, but we also have to understand that the way we deal with our emotions is a part of that job. It's one of the biggest things that we can contribute to outside of, the food that we put in our mouth and what we eat, right? So, while we out here living our best lives, and we thinking about how we're going to have the success that we want to have in this lifetime, we need to also thinking about our longevity, our vitality. You know, from the moment you're born, the way you live your life determines the way that you transition in your life. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you live by the gun, you die by the gun. If you eat unhealthy, however you ate, and which organ system that had the biggest impact on your life is the way you're going to transition up out of here. It's just the truth. This is how you're going to transition up out of here. You know, for me, you know, this is a personal topic for me as well, because, you know, my biggest thing about life is when I transition, I'm like, okay, I hope that, you know, I transition in my sleep from natural causes. You know, I don't want to transition in pain. And so the internal work that we do is highly, highly impacted on that. So let's take care of the internal. Let's take care of the external. Let's look good on the inside. Let's take care of ourselves on the inside and let that reflect the external work. Let that exude from the inside outside, right? Be a beautiful person on the inside and let that reflect who you are on the outside. Then, while you're doing all of that, let's go make good relationships with people, right? Let's go have great business relationships with people, right? Let's go out here and have the houses that we want to have. Let's be out here and have the finances that we want to have, because the duality to our lives is contributed to one great life, because we're taking care of ourselves on the inside and we're taking care of ourselves on the outside. And what's more important than that, right? So let's think about and reflect on the work that we need to do to take care of ourselves on the inside, just as much as we take care of ourselves on the outside. Okay? And, you know, one thing I want to ask y'all is, if y'all like this content, if y'all enjoy the way that Let Them Know Media gives you the information like nobody else, please like and subscribe. You know? Give me a comment. Let me know how y'all feeling. Let me know how y'all feel. I'll listen and I'll pay attention. And I do my best to make sure that I do better for y'all with that contribution. So please like and subscribe. And as always, I would like to thank you in advance. Peace.